Well, here we are.
Here we are. Hey, cheers. 1,600
Cheers.
subs on
Cheers.
YouTube.
Oh, look at that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And a half right there, bud.
There we go.
So I'm going to take a little bit of the intro here just because. So for the sake of the platforms, and this is like open for discussion, but I'm going to make a statement. So just because I have the platform, we're going to post it there for now.
Yep.
And I will continue the podcast on my own accord moving forward. But eventually Dave will have his own too in this environment.
Yep.
So we're going to transition for my content from this room eventually to my room, and then Dave will continue on this one. But for those of you watching on my Patreon, my YouTube channel, this is going to be an ongoing thing. So I'm so excited I can barely even fucking get into this. Like,
Oh, fuck, man. Me too. I've been fucking just all day, like, thinking, yeah, we're going to set this up, get it all looking good, sounding good, and fucking,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
The
stoked.
headphones brings like every time we add another element, it makes it cooler for me. Like when Kevin and I were doing the reactions, we added the second mic. It was like, oh, we can do this and have fun. We don't have to look at each other each time. Make sure like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna work. Are you close enough? Am I yelling too much? And then it's like we added the extra cameras, and it's like now I can just worry about just looking at you.
Yeah.
And it's like now with the
Oh,
headphones,
totally.
I just know what's going on all the time.
Well, that's the thing, right? The headphones, you hear each other talking. You don't get the talk over.
Yeah.
I mean, they are right about that.
Yeah, it's surprising how much that adds.
Yeah.
I like it, though.
Yeah.
So where I wanted to steer this conversation was Dave and I sat down 2 weeks ago, and I just want to talk about what's kind of happened over the last 2 weeks. So you got some mastering software.
I did.
Tell me about that.
That's awesome.
What's mastering software?
I was just going to say, what's mastering?
What's mastering? Well, mastering is the process of once you've recorded all of your instruments and vocals and you've mixed them to where you think everything sounds pretty good. Mastering is kind of that last little, that last part of the process that just cleans it up.
It's
just
the sesame
a little bit.
seeds on top.
It's
Yeah,
just
it is.
yeah.
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 It's
It's
the presentation, the final presentation.
it's just that extra little smoothness and
Yeah.
fullness, everything.
And
yeah.
see, I think like mastering, because like the problem is I don't know enough about mastering, and I haven't spent that much time in a studio. But it just goes to show like the neglect that happens to something that's so important.
Well, it used to be from when we did record
Yeah.
pressing. So like record pressing at the end stage, the mastering process was to lacquer the final record to smooth it, was to smooth out all the edges and things like that, and that created a different sound. And then after that, they started adding things to the process, the final process, to make it louder and to make it EQ differently for radio and things like that. And then it kept going further
Well,
digitally.
and originally, if I'm not mistaken, it was even just for the grooves in the vinyl, because if it was
exactly,
too much, it would
Yeah.
you couldn't fit all the tracks on there, or you'd skip the needle or something. Yeah.
When I went to Memphis, a friend of mine was recording at this Maverick, I think is what it was.
In Memphis,
Yeah.
that's the studio.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not Maverick.
Maverick City?
No. I'm thinking of it wrong. It was
Oh,
the
that's
other. It was the other one. Damn it! It'll come to my head. Anyways, if I remember it, I'll.
Yeah.
But anyways, the what he was taking us through a tour of the studio, and the studio had the original. So this place was the second location when Stax was getting recorded.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
in
Stax
Motown.
Records?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Motown.
yeah.
So this was the secondary
Yep.
location that they used for all the like mastering and recording.
Yep.
That was happening in Memphis at the time. So yeah, Stax was the main one, and then the secondary one was where he was.
1957 as Satellite Records.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
They
But I
changed
was
to
watching
Stack
a dude
Records.
lacquer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they still
Oh,
had
wow.
the old tech was still there working
No shit.
on the old lacquering technology, and I was watching him lacquer.
I mean, that would be a crazy thing to see in this
Yeah.
day and age.
yeah, oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
they were
it's
just
so
stoked
far.
to show us.
Yeah, it's so far removed from anything we would do now, right?
Yeah.
Like you're open a lacquer up, you got to finish this up, get the lacquer on there. Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't
So-
even consider that's a thing in this
So
day
in
and age.
1958, they built this studio with a financial investment, remortgaging the house for a $2,500 loan. They bought a Ampex 350 mono console tape recorder and
Yep.
started the studio.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Yeah, 100%. Man, I wish I could remember what the hell it'll probably come to me, but
Well, when it does.
yeah.
But like all that tape shit, man, like it's cool. Like it's making its own comeback. Like, you know, LPs is still popular. And now, like, you know, we've all listened to that Slash record that's coming out. That's all done to tape. And that's a new studio where that's what they're going to do now.
Oh yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of guys that are kind of going back to tape, but I mean, there's benefits and drawbacks to
Yep.
that, right? Like I've never personally worked straight to analog like that. I mean,
I've never gone to tape.
yeah, I mean,
I've used all analog equipment, but I've never gone to tape at the export part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've watched people go to tape. that's about the closest I've come to it.
Yeah.
I watched a tracking session where it was going to a Studer,
Oh,
like a
yeah.
24 track,
Yeah.
but that's as far as I've come to it.
Yeah, I mean everything. Oh, well, I mean, I guess when I first started recording, actually, it was on. I was using a VCR.
Oh
That's
yeah.
Oh, really?
So I guess technically I was recording
Yeah,
to
you
tape.
were going to
Yeah.
tape. Yeah.
Technically
Quite
speaking,
literally,
quite
yeah.
literally, yeah. Because I remember using. I had a little. I just got like a little Behringer mixer when
Yeah.
I moved out here. When I first moved out here in like 2002, got a little Behringer mixer, and I had it running into a cassette deck at first.
Yeah.
And then I remember reading online about DAT tapes,
Oh yeah.
right, and things like that, and then just
Digital analog tape, was that what
Yeah.
it was called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Such a crazy thing.
Yeah,
It was
it was-
digital tape.
digital tape.
My dad still has a DAT recorder.
Yeah. Well, it was all the rage before, essentially
Yeah.
before Pro Tools took over.
Well, and then
right?
CDs came out.
And
after.
CDs, yeah.
Huh.
But anyway, basically, I just remember reading that, if you have the wider, the thicker the tape, right?
Yeah.
The more information
More
you can get
information.
on it. So I thought, well, little cassette tape's this wide. Well, this is this wide. Fuck it, same thing, right? You just put it in,
To the
and just did it
VCR.
without without
Yep.
hooking up the video part.
Yeah.
And then we just me and my I had a
Except
friend
for
played
that's
drums.
not how it works, but yep.
Well, but you know what I mean. Like the video, you could play it and you'd still see
Well,
like
because you'd have the VGA, not
Yeah.
the VGA, but the 3, and
The
you just
3,
leave
yeah.
the yellow one out. So
Yeah,
you
it's
have
No,
left
you
and
totally
right.
can. I'm just saying in a VCR tape, the audio is a very tiny little sliver on the side of it.
Oh yeah,
It's almost none of the tape.
So really what
It's
I
like
was
the
doing
tape
probably-
is physically wider, but it's actually way smaller.
probably
It'd be cool
probably
if you
even
could
worse.
convince it to print on the whole thing.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Just right over top of the rest
Well,
of it.
my 18-year-old brain thought I was doing something quite
Hey, man,
quite clever there.
revolutionary right there.
Yeah. So I'd stock up on VHS tapes and we'd jam. I had a drummer. He had an electric drum kit, and I'd just mic up my amp or plug it in or whatever. And we'd jam for hours and had fucking VHS tapes.
That's so dope.
So that's the closest I've ever been to actually recording on tape. I
Yeah.
guess was
Yeah.
doing that.
See, I remember like sitting in front of like the old stereo system in the house with like a tape, like a cassette recorder, and
Oh,
then,
yeah.
like, and holding it up to the speaker and like trying not to
yeah.
like budget too much and be like, man, I'm gonna listen to Ricky Martin for the rest of my life. Like,
Jesse's living La Vida Loca.
living the
over
vida
there.
loca. Yeah. You know what? I sang that song at karaoke as per a request, and it is
yeah?
a bitch to sing.
Yeah, of course.
That man is very talented.
Yeah.
Ricky Martin.
Yep.
yeah.
My new thing, like, I don't give shit reviews online, and that's fine. But trying to appreciate things that I wouldn't appreciate normally has been a fucking game changer. Because, like, even just in my life now, like, even like working, and like I was talking about earlier, like, I'm not gonna get into it, but the Stomp and Tom thing, it's like if it's on, I'm gonna find a way to appreciate it, and it makes it so much more enjoyable. Like everything.
Well, I mean, that's the better way of encountering the world. Like, that's technically, I would say, empathy, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
you're
very
trying to
empathetic.
find value in something that from another's perspective, because it might not be your taste, but you can still find the value that others might see.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like yeah. Wait. No, it did quit.
Oh, to quit.
You can just press the record button again.
Apparently, it's got a real long shelf life.
Yeah.
Something might not be right with
That's
that.
the funny one. That's the one I've been playing with.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
But no, like we were talking about the Scott and Rowan playlist, the bluegrass rap.
Yep.
And I was like sitting there listening to it, and I was like, okay, like, this is fine. I was like, tell me why you like this. And she told me the story, and I was like, this is fucking dope. Like by the end of it, I was like, this is really cool.
You know, that's part of the reason that I like the YouTube comment section.
Yeah.
Because, like, we can appreciate it from our own perspective, but what these things mean to people and, like, the depth of care that they have is a totally different level. And then all of a sudden you can see it through their lens and be like, oh, okay, this is one thing for me, but it's so much more for other people, which is really cool. Because
It's wild, man. Like I'm so excited for you to get in on this because like Kevin tells me, he's like, yeah, man, I lay in bed and read the comments. Like, why wouldn't I?
Oh, yeah.
And he's not even in all my fucking videos. Like,
No.
but like it's exciting because people like the dynamic when there's when there's both of us.
Yeah.
And like the only thing that we really get. All like one time we said the same thing at the exact same time.
Literally,
we high five and we headbang all the time in sync because we've hung out for long enough.
Yeah.
But then after that, it's like people are just like, I like seeing the energy and I like being
Yeah.
a part of it. And it's like, man, especially in such an isolated fucking economy right now.
That's the whole thing, man.
Yeah, it's like let's just smile and enjoy this shit together. I don't need to
Yeah.
sit here and like I'm not gonna get into this because I bring this up every time. But the little bit of
Stomp and
hate that
Tom.
shows up, the little bit of hate that shows up in the comments section, I'm just like, it's at the point where I'm like, man, there is so much fucking drama going on in the world. Like that is the last thing I want to deal with.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the same time, too, I think, if you're not getting hate comments, then you're not really growing. Are
Yep.
ya?
Oh, and that's exactly because
You
I
know?
didn't get a hate comment until we cracked 1,000.
Yeah, I know.
And it bothered me. And then I was like, wait,
Get
this is
ready
gonna
for one
happen
more.
more. Yeah. And then it's like
But-
now it's like every other video.
But
and-
again, like you're creating a fan base that is a squad that will pounce on that hate.
and they already do. It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. It's
That's
so
one of those
funny.
things that when you have people that actually care about what you're doing, anyone that goes anti that gets like
Yeah.
attacked.
Well, and like it's crazy because it's like you look at these fan bases that's out there,
Hmm.
and they're all like I was like I shout out the Beehive, the Beyonce group, and it's like, hey, y'all are crazy. Like y'all comment more than anyone else, and it's like they're all in the comment section. They're like, yeah, we're here.
I'm listening to you. I'm watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to be careful though.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you do. It depends. I know. Like, I've talked to my brother about this, and he's far more concerned about what he says online than. I mean, I haven't been doing this very long, so I haven't really been running my mouth yet. But at the same time, I don't know.
There's ways to say
Oh.
things, you know. Like
Yeah.
I
Oh,
rely
yeah, that's-
heavily on saying "guys" as just like a very neutral phrase, and I understand
Sure,
that. I understand that today that's not fair, so I'm working on it. You know what I mean?
One of the things that that we end up doing through this is it's not that you change what you say, it's you refine your intent.
Yeah.
Because it's like you may end up saying
That's fair.
things not perfectly.
Yep.
And so therefore you kind of work to refine the intent behind it. Because if your intent was viewed incorrectly, then it's like, okay, well, is my verbiage not giving the accurate story of how I actually feel?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because, like, quite honestly, that's something that I've noticed about myself. For the longest time, I thought I was a really good communicator with people and things. And I'm realizing, no, I don't know. There's something that I'm missing sometimes because I don't always I don't get the same reaction from people that I would expect based on what I'm relaying to them sometimes, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So, you know, for the longest time, yeah, look at you too. But
watch some of our videos.
yeah, right.
Yeah, do we live together?
Yeah.
How long we live together?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no shit, eh? But really though, like, yeah, like you say, like being specific with your intent and being like intentional and having a little bit of forethought of what you're saying. I'm learning that I kind of really have to, you know. Sometimes I'll sit and stop and just what I mean is, you know, and really try to think of it because when I start spitting stuff out sometimes in my head, I think it's coming out a certain way. And then I realize when I'm getting feedback from people, it's not. It's getting taken the complete wrong way.
Yeah.
And this is just not.
That's the 5 love languages thing, though. Like, there's like people understand people. Like, if you have a glass, like, say if this is my friendship glass between the 3 of us, and if the glass is running empty, then it's like there's gonna be problems. But if you guys are filling it up with stuff that I don't like, that's gonna cause problems too. Just because it's full doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's good. So it's like I need to tell you what I want in my glass for you to be able to fill it up accurately. And until you can until you can do yourself the favor of finding the language that you need to hear. Like, if you don't want like abstract and bullshit and all that stuff, you're just like, just come to rip the band-aid off, tell me what's up so I can sort it out. Like, that's great. I won't paint a pretty picture for you
Sure.
anymore. I'll just rip it off. But if I didn't know that, I might try to save your feelings by painting a pretty picture.
Yeah, that's the.
You know what I mean?
I heard this put to me once before. It was the. Some people are hammers, and some people are pillows, or feathers, or something. It was an Oregon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Some people are hammers, and a hammer, you just go straight in. Just hit the nail, you go. It doesn't matter. You hit it hard, you just straight ahead. But a feather or a pillow or whatever he said, you have to be a little more gentle with it.
You
gotta
punch it.
be. You fucking really cracked
shoot
that
through
son
it,
of
you
a
know?
bitch.
Yeah. It's a makeshift silencer.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I know what you're saying, right? Like, it's the idea. Yeah, if some people can take a very direct criticism and direct whatever, and some people need a little more smoothing around. But what I've noticed though is it's not an either or. What I found, because for me sometimes I'm real good, like depending on what it is and where my mind is. Sometimes I want just give me the facts, give me straight ahead. I don't want fucking. Don't sugarcoat it for me. Just like, what is it? Just data. But then there are other times where I'm more, I don't know, sensitive,
Well, it
and
depends on the
and don't
context.
want to be, yeah.
But like, like like if you're coming to me with bad news, I don't want to hear the whole story. Even if you're gonna call me out for shit, like I just want to be like, hey man, you fucked up, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
because like the transparency I like, but when I deliver it, I have a really hard time. And like I know how important being transparent is, and I have a really hard time with it. And this is the
Yeah.
empath part, right? Because it's like I want to make sure that my point lands. I want to motivate you still, but
But you don't want to hurt the person.
I don't want to hurt the person
Yeah.
because like I don't want to deflate them. I don't like so a differentiate like the language I've learned around this to differentiate it is I'm not attacking the person, I'm attacking the behavior.
Yeah.
Right.
The
So it's
behavior,
like
the idea.
I
the
don't
whatever,
think
yeah.
less of you. It's just what you're the choice you made based on choices you could have made. I'm gonna pinpoint, right?
That's tricky though, because like that's ideal, right? That's like ideal thought process. But sometimes when we're relaying information, especially stuff that's hard to relay, sometimes we've felt pain in an area, and we actually do want to convey pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those like
Yeah, but you gotta. I'm arguing for the progression.
totally. I'm just saying when people get caught in that, it's like sometimes they're not able to be honest with themselves enough to know that like actually no, I want this to be felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like you can deliver information with a pillow and have it not be felt.
Yeah.
And then there's some things where you do want them to feel it. You know
Okay,
what I mean?
so but we talked about this morning. So I have this idea where in North America we talk in order of what, then why, and then how. So if it's like, hey man, you stole my chick, I'm gonna fight you right now.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. We hear about that all the time, right? But if it was, hey man, like I trusted you, you betrayed my trust, that threw away years and years and years of development. Now the fight's on. It's like that's a different conversation, right? So like if you start with why and then what and then how it was measured, it's much more like delivered on a wide scale than what, why, and then how you measured it, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. It's tricky, man. Like language in general is really hard to get right. And that's one of the reasons that I like talking to people and challenging the way that they speak. It's like a favorite
Well,
pastime of
like
mine.
what's right, like the hammer or the pillow.
It's
One
situational.
isn't right over the other,
And well, I think it depends. Like depending on the person
preferred.
you're dealing with, right?
or the
'Cause
situation.
there are some people that only respond to the hammer approach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like they really do. Like they don't get it if you try to tiptoe around
Sugarcoat
or
it.
soft touch it, right? No, they don't get. It just, what are you talking? Like you got to be direct. You got to be no ambiguity. No, But then there's other people that like they take that as like a personal affront. It's an attack. It's I mean you see that with a lot of things nowadays. People internalize so much of what they believe, what they think, what they associate themselves with. All of a sudden that becomes like a personal thing. If you touch on that nerve at all, it becomes a you're attacking me as a human. It's like, well, no, I'm trying to talk to you about this idea, this thing that you're talking to me about, that we're talking about, and you turn it. I find this anyway a lot. People can't detach themselves. Sometimes
But
from
like most people haven't been given the opportunity to detach themselves though, because think about all the shitty managers out there, and like I apologize for this, but all the shitty parents out there.
Well, it
like,
starts with parents. Realistically,
Yeah.
this all comes down to like so much of like how people are based on what happened to them in the first 5 to 10 years of their life.
Yeah, and like
Like,
accountability is something that like I kind of breezed through as a kid, and like as an adult, it definitely is tough. But it's like if my parents would have been like the stern, the hard asses, I would be a different person. But they were kind of like they left me accountable for my actions, knowing that whatever happened, I knew I would have to deal with. So it's like if I didn't want to clean something, I would not know how to clean it. And it's like that bites me in the ass later too. But they also taught me to be like, listen, this is on you. This is not on anyone else.
Yeah.
And like I'm very fortunate for that reason, right? I talk about that often.
So my curiosity would be like, so you're dealing with people that like, I'm just to go back to the association of like, I did bad, therefore I am bad.
Yeah.
Like when especially when people think that you are saying that they're bad through challenging them on an action. My curiosity always comes in with like, okay, so that must then, in my opinion, be an internal belief of how they perceive themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how we get to a place where people can stop seeing themselves that way. Because it makes the world super inefficient.
Well, it is, but at some level, I think it's almost to some degree, it's a bit of a primal thing, right? Because
Why?
Well, in that to survive at a certain point, you had to kind of conform to a group right? A social group. So you all had some level of shared belief and idea of the world around you and how things are and how you behave and how you act.
How to protect.
And
everything.
any deviation from that was seen as maybe a threat to the group, right? Potentially, right? Because it maybe, you know, if you're not doing everything that we do, oh, you don't go out and hunt at the same time, you don't do it, you know, maybe we don't eat, maybe we don't whatever. So I think maybe to some degree it's like you take on these beliefs as a part of you, just as it's like a safety mechanism. Like you know who you are, you know what the rules are for your whatever. But then anything that goes outside of that becomes this like this alien attack. This like an outsider showing up and
Trying to take your food supply.
change your way of life in any sort of way, right?
I can understand that from an outsider perspective, but if you're in the group, isn't that you deciding to lose the group?
Well, I think that like there's got to be a certain part of like guilt or like self-blame that plays into that, because like if I came up to you and if like in a work environment, I'll use that language. If I came up to you and disciplined you for something and you felt guilty about something, you're going to feel attacked, right? But if you don't have anything to feel guilty about and I discipline you, it's like assuming that you can take that without your ego being damaged. You're going to hear it for what it is if I do a good job of it.
I might almost argue the opposite of that, though,
think so?
depending on, because if you did do something that was wrong and requiring of discipline of some kind, you might be expecting it, right? That I fucked up and I'm waiting for this. Whereas if you didn't do anything that you thought was wrong and you're getting disciplined for it, you'd be like, dude, what the fuck? Why are you coming at me? I didn't do nothing wrong.
Well,
Like,
this is where like I wonder if it's shame.
So what I'm realizing now is like my problem is that I didn't discipline often enough. So when I did discipline, it probably came off incorrectly, and I'm just realizing that right now.
oh, I was bad for that. Like, and I had to learn this in the position I'm in now. Your old job is it like I would bottle it up or let the fuse run for way too long and then blow up a little too much.
Yep.
Right? You
Oh,
overreact.
yeah, I did a lot of that.
Right. So you like nothing, blow up. I have learned though, like you do get much better responses if you just something happens, just bring it up,
deal with it.
just deal with it right there, and then it's a small thing, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, usually the things aren't really that big, but if you let them sit in your mind. Even if that person, they don't realize that the thing has even happened, but in your head, like it's just growing and growing and growing. And eventually you're just, and something else happens and then you unload. Really, it's not even about the thing that just happened. It's about this thing that's been sitting in the back of your mind for fucking ever now and just stewing and growing and fermenting and turning into something far worse. Whereas if you get it out of you and just say it and clear the air, it tends to make things a lot
Well, that was what
lot
I had
smoother,
such a hard
right?
time with when I was in that role. Like I didn't think that I had I thought that I was bad, and therefore I avoided correcting people that way because I didn't think I had value enough to do the correcting. Because to be honest, I felt like what do you call that? Imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Like I had no business being in that role. Literally, I had none.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just one of those like there was no one else really at the time because you weren't even on yet.
No, it was before I was hired.
It was me and maybe I shouldn't say names on this.
We'll sort that part out. Does
Okay.
that say 29 or does that say 23?
This is 24.
Oh, okay, close enough. 23, 24. It's 12-minute segments.
Ah,
And then at
Anyways.
29, it cuts out. So we'll just have to restart it.
I gotcha.
But anyways, generic gentleman
Yeah.
who was not
He who will be unnamed here.
Yeah.
No.
yeah, he made a misstep error. Anyways,
I remember that misstep there.
yeah.
There was a few of them.
Yeah.
That's how
But-
I got my job.
Yes, it is.
And in my interview, Dave asked me how much I could bench press.
Yeah. Because I had just
was the most
watched,
important
what the
thing.
hell was that? The Rock and Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Pain and gain.
Pain and
Pain and
Did
Gain,
you,
yeah.
did you hear my story? Did you know that movie is why I got jacked when I was jacked?
What was it?
I used to watch it every night.
He watched it a lot.
My iTunes said 207 times.
Oh, Jesus.
I watched it every night before I'd wake up at 5 in the morning, go pick up Kevin, go to the gym.
Daniel
wow.
Lugo.
Yeah. Oh man, I was in. I remember when I was talking to you about being like, "Hey, we should open a gym.
Yeah.
It should have tanning and strippers," and that was 100% for them.
It was still not a bad idea.
It still isn't a terrible idea.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, back to that. Anyway, I just always had imposter syndrome. Because
Yeah.
It made no sense me
Yeah.
me
The problem
being
is
there.
though, is you were never praised the way that you should have been praised for the things you should have been praised for.
Sure, but I was not a manager. I was a sales guy.
Yep.
Like,
That's fair.
if I'm going to be honest with myself, I was not a manager.
Well, I could tell you didn't like the job.
No, and
You
I was
didn't
good
like the
selling.
position.
But
Yeah,
the-
I was the top sales guy.
I keep coming back to the fact that like, and this is happening with my roommate right now, is that there's so many shit. No, there's so many shitty examples of bad managers that like
Yeah,
all
man.
we know how
You're
to
not
do is be
wrong.
a bad fucking manager. And like
It's just like there's so
lot
many
of
bad
people.
parents that it's all we know how to do is bad parent.
yeah, and like I think that I was given the opportunity that I think I expressed. Like we're gonna go back to when I worked for both of you, but I think that we had the relationship where you guys knew you could come and tell me that I needed to straighten my shit out, and I would.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
Although we
Well, sort of,
gave
I-
so much slack to that young Jesse. 'Cause
to be
we
fair,
just-
I made up for it though.
we
Come
were
on.
Well,
we were living vicariously through you.
I guess it
think.
depends, right? Because I had like a real overcompensation when you first started. Like I remember like fucking. What was it? You brought me some slip of paper one day and asked me to go get something in the back. I'm like, fuck it, you go get like.
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember. I deserved it a few times though. Like for sure, I deserved it. And there's apologies littered in our relationship that I need to come up with. One
fuck
day.
no! I mean, I think
it's
I
all a
apologize
blast,
to that for one point because I mean, like realistically, it's like I definitely like overreacted to the situation.
No.
But
See,
it
the,
was,
the crazy thing was though, and it's like I'm empathizing with one of my girlfriend's employees right now because it's like that was my first job. That was my first
Yeah, it
job. That
was,
was not
actually.
Daryl,
What?
Richie, and my
That
dad.
was legit.
Oh,
his first
really?
job,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
no
so
shit.
it's like when I sold something off the floor and you guys told me to replace it, I never thought that that was a thing. I legitimately did not think that I had to replace stock that I sold. And I was just like, oh, fuck, that makes so much sense.
Also, now understanding you more and how you operate, I could have managed you way better.
No, anyone could have. I could have managed me better, but I didn't
Yeah.
know. Did you guys also, like, there's a theory that I have with my psychologist that I'm about 6 years behind in, like, age development.
Okay.
Roughly, like, and that's on an average scale. So there's things that I'm obviously excelling at. So it's 6 years before and 6 years after my current age. So there's parts where it's like I could be 35. There's
Yeah.
parts where I could be 22, like almost that extreme,
of
right?
course.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
it's
see
kind of
it.
interesting.
Yeah, that whole thing of like age regression in terms of certain responses to things, like situational age regression, I find absolutely fascinating.
Oh yeah,
Because it's like there's situations that will put you into the shoes of whenever you had a certain experience within that age range, and then that thing gets delayed in terms of how it's aging. So
Oh,
when
dude.
you're in situations you are this age, and when you're not in situations you're in this.
You know
age.
what? It's funny you mentioned this because it's something that I came to the realization of myself after getting divorced and being in the dating world. Like, you know, I was married for 14 fucking years.
Yeah.
I've got an 8-year-old daughter right now.
Yeah.
And when that relationship ended, it's almost like because we got together when I was 19, something like that. I instantly, like, in my mind, I turned back into like
You were a 20-year-old.
well, almost right, like, but not in like a good, like, fun
No.
loving way, but like in almost like
Rudderless.
well, it was almost like in my mind, I almost turned into like a fucking virgin again.
You were nervous.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
like seriously, it was like this whole weird thing where like the dating world like threw me back into like the mentality that I was in like in high school. You know what I mean? Awkward guy, not really knowing
This is
myself
okay.
or the world or the how do you act around people. It was so weird, like such a weird thing, and it's taken me like a few years now to realize A, that it was a thing, and then B, to be like, okay, wait a minute, dude. What the fuck? Like, pull your head out of here. Like, you're not a fucking teenager. Like, you're not like, you know what I mean? It's almost like because I had one long relationship and didn't have a whole bunch in there. It's like the idea of being able to come out of that and then go back into like this world of relationships.
Yeah.
It threw me back into this mindset of like, I'm just like this unconfident kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In some ways.
well,
So
it probably took you back to 14 years prior to your marriage.
it did.
where
yeah.
it's like now it's like
This
the
is where I
last time you
stopped.
were single.
Yep,
Yeah.
this is where I
The
stopped.
last time you practiced being
And-
single.
Yep, and now we're back to here again, and it's like, when you're 18 and 19, you're not at the top of your game on anything in life.
You may think you are, but
you're
are not.
you fucking well are not.
And all your problems you think you have at 18, I promise you they're not problems.
yeah,
I
no, your days are gonna get much worse.
Everything's
Much
fine.
worse.
Things-
Right now,
things
everything's
are-
at the top of the mountain.
No,
Yeah.
you know what? We're
It's only
no,
downhill
no,
from
no. We're stopping that language. We've talked that way
We're
for way too
full of
long.
bullshit.
We're stopping all that bad dad advice,
To be
that
honest,
poor dad
like,
advice.
I like my life, even though I've had a turmoil. I like my life now.
Listen though, but like the turmoil parts are behind you. There's nothing you can do to relive them unless you choose to.
No, they shaped me now.
Well,
You know what I mean?
you
I'm-
need
I'm-
it,
I'm
though.
very thankful for them.
You
at this
need it.
point.
Like, I mean, they say you learn more from getting knocked down than you do from, from
dude.
winning all the time. And it's absolutely true. Like, I've gone through so much of a shift mentally just over the last, I mean, it seems like it's, it started a few years ago, but over the last like couple of months now, even it's like, I feel like it's winding up faster and faster and faster. Like the progression is more exponential. Like I'm not even sure 100% exactly who I am anymore, just based on like looking into myself, looking into what I want, what I could do, what I think I could do, what I.
That's the exciting thing, though.
It's very exciting. I mean, at first, to some degree, it's frightening, right? Because it's the whole idea of
New is frightening.
well, new is frightening, and just like taking who you were and going, well, that's gone. That whole thing is gone. That person I thought I was, it's not a thing.
To
It's
be
not
fair, that's every day.
yeah.
Every
Yeah.
day, the day.
Every day
past,
you die.
Yesterday's you is dead.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But like, okay, so I'm just gonna interject with advice I gave my roommate, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for this one. So his work was holding him accountable to being like, when you come back to work, you have to be 100%. And he kept saying, I don't remember what 100% is. And I said, well, decide. How do you feel today? How do you want to feel? What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I look at that in a certain way and going, okay, if I've got a manager telling me I want you at 100%, it's like, sure, here's 100%, my man. Like,
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
Situationally,
Get
it made
ready
more
for
sense, right?
63%.
Get ready for it.
60%
Here
of the
we-
time, it works 100% of the
swear
time.
I'm
Absolutely.
100.
I fucked that up, but I'm not gonna
It was still
rephrase
worth
it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got it.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers to that.
I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
glad too. So my thought process is, and what do you guys think of this? I'm thinking what we do is we take a camera. It could even be another camera that's a better angle or something.
I'm
We take-
thinking we get another drink is what I'm thinking.
Yep, we could do
That
that.
too.
Let me finish my point, and then we'll get another drink.
You keep talking.
So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna get one camera that does the live stream. We're gonna do the live stream with Patreon,
Yeah, live hang.
and
Yeah.
then they can
Take
comment
questions and stuff.
take questions. They can
Yeah.
send us.
Oh,
links,
dude,
we can
yeah.
watch
Eventually,
stuff.
we should totally have a chat going at some point
Yep.
here. Yeah.
And then after that, we're gonna edit it all and we'll put it on the YouTube, and
Yeah.
we'll make it look really pretty for YouTube.
Oh,
but there'll be a
absolutely.
more intimate experience for the Patreon
Yeah.
fans.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, you get it early. You get to be a part of it. You get the raw whatever.
Yep.
You can help shape the conversation because you get to have some input, throw
Yep.
some questions out. You want to hear us talk about something? You want sure,
Anything, yeah.
whatever. I
Yep.
mean,
Actually, you know what I got today? I got a request to react to a band that the person who requested it performed with.
oh,
That was the coolest request I think. I haven't watched it yet. I've been saving it, but like I'm so excited. I've been asking for one of those. Everybody that admits they're a musician on my page, I'm like, you better show me something of yours. You
Yeah.
fucking better show me something of yours.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
still have
so
yet to hear from the bass player's cousin.
Yeah. So apparently, I got Bruno Mars's bass player's cousin following me.
Bruno Mars' bass player's cousin.
Yeah.
Fuck, we're getting there.
Dude, Bruno Mars's bass player. I would just hang out with Bruno Mars's bass player. actually, now that you
Jamario.
say that.
Jamario.
Mm.
Yep. He's
Man is an
great.
animal. When we take our commercial break here, we'll listen to something. But like, oh my goodness. But okay, for accountability reasons, because I need both of y'all there.
Yeah.
So for 2,000 subs, we're doing a acoustic concert in my house.
We're going to be Jesse's accountability buddies.
No problem.
Accountability buddies. Yep.
Yeah.
I put a demo up on my
Makes us
YouTube today. I put a
accountability
teaser up on my YouTube. We want to do a bunch of harmonies and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then I want to use that. I mean, I got no problem admitting. I want to use that as leverage to try to sell songs to other people.
Oh, dude, like, yeah, we were talking earlier today. I am all on board with
Yep.
songwriting.
Because
and
the quicker I
composition
fill
and
my
whatever.
pipeline, the quicker I can commit to doing this shit for y'all, and we can like not worry about the JOBs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, this
So-
is the whole idea, right?
Yeah.
Is eventually
I'm
move
gonna
away
keep
from
my
it.
job.
Well, I mean,
My job's not.
Yeah,
a
but you're
job.
leaving your JOB to have a fun job.
Yeah, it's
We're trying to leave our JOBs to
Yeah.
have fun jobs.
Yeah,
You're on the same
you're
route.
gonna be fucking tattooing people. Like that's
Pretty dope.
there's nothing. I mean, that's pretty like. Yeah, you're working at a place,
Establishment,
an
yeah.
establishment, I guess. Yeah, store's not the right word, but you're working at an establishment. But still, at the same time, that's a skill set you can just walk into anywhere with
in the world.
in the world.
Pretty stoked.
That's
Costa Rica.
the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go anywhere with it. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's a you have a job, but it's a job that you're working still for you.
Yeah.
That's not like dependent on, oh, if I leave these four walls, this is over and I
Yep.
can't move this anywhere else.
Yeah,
like
no.
Yep.
like that's what the position I want to be in, where it's like, okay, I've got my thing that I do, my whatever stuff, and I can do this out of my house. I could pick up and go somewhere else. I can do it here, whatever, and not
On
be
my private jet.
on my jet. Yes.
We Kevin and I said that once his Patreon fills up, we're coming for that Disney money. So
Oh,
yeah.
there we
we'll
go.
have jets. Don't worry, we'll have
Disney
jets.
one.
We'll have our own Walt Disney jets.
If you're listening and you want to buy us out early, get in on the ground floor of this.
Yeah, we're coming. We're coming for stardom.
Bring the mouse.
Some sort of Rogan-esque money.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you what. Let's take a quick pause for the cause. If
Yeah.
you want to put on one of your, do you have a mix on an MP3 you can play while it still records?
Probably got something here. Yeah, if we're taking a break, I could
Yeah,
probably
play
get
something while we
queued
fill
up.
up our drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.